Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us for episode number 4 of the HE.SHE.THEY podcast. Today is a jovial one, to say the least, and a trigger warning here for some moderate to excessive swearing in the next hour or so. And I actually think we cut out a good chunk of it already. But at the end of the day, this is really what we all talk like around the back of a stage at a festival. So if you're in, you have to take us as we are. Our guest today is the esteemed Bristol-based producer and guaranteed peak time party starter, Dan Pearce, aka HE.SHE.THEY. He's going to take us all the way back to the beginning of his story and pick out some gem moments from along the way. Coming onto the scene in 2011 with a trio of incredible releases, including a seminal track entrance song on our good friends Cats and Dogs' legendary label Pets Recordings, Dan went from working a second job to headlining clubs and festivals around the world in a really short space of time, and a decade later is still very much at the top of his game. We will discuss allyship in music to the LGBTQIA+ community, including one very simple rule to live by, some workings of the music industry and all the highs and lows it brings despite the Instagram highlights reel, and we'll touch on COVID. This episode was recorded just before we were all allowed out to play again in the UK. And Dan, if you listen back to this, just so you know, I'm still waiting for that entrance set you free, eats everything rebeef that you promised me. So, without further ado, here's 3 weirdos talking over each other and laughing. Please cover your small children's ears and welcome the wonderful man that is HE.SHE.THEY.
So today, on this beautiful day, it's actually a very rainy Wednesday, but there is some sunshine in our lives because we have the lovely HE.SHE.THEY. We record that.
Hello. I love
welcome.
I love your
superstar DJ, music producer extraordinaire, philanthropist.
Philanthropist, actually.
Well, tell us about that.
I'm not really.
Oh.
You gave me money for the bus once.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose I've done a little bit for charity here and there. Quite a lot.
You do lots.
Actually, I do quite a lot. So yeah, maybe I am.
That's why we're talking to you, Dan. Because
I'm a mild philanthropist. I can't even say it. I'm a mild philanthropist. You know, a demi philanthropist. you know what I'm trying to say.
I feel like one of the things that you do really well, and like as well as being a friend to Sophia and I, that you are one of those people. You're always like, "Oh, I'm a privileged straight white man," which you know we've all got our privileges, but you lend them to a lot of marginalised communities. Like you did something for charity for us at Christmas, for instance, for HE.SHE.THEY.
Very true.
And you support a lot of queer charities.
Yeah, I do stuff at Opening Doors London. I do quite a lot for those guys.
Yeah, that was what the Christmas one was. Opening Doors, a wonderful charity.
Yeah, really good. They just do some amazing things. The stories that they tell are just about the older gay people who have kind of just like been left behind by society. I don't know. Paula, her name is, isn't it? Paula Harrowing. She's an amazing lady.
Amazing lady.
Really, her stories. I was on at the start of lockdown where I released that Honey record, and we were going to release it, and obviously before lockdown, but then lockdown came, and it was like, you know, it was just on the cusp of putting it out, and then COVID kind of hit, and then we put it back, and then we were going to put it out again, and Black Lives Matter really kicked off, and then because it was although a completely cleared sample with the blessing of Marinet's family, that record, the vocal, because it was a black trans woman, it felt really like we really had to get it right in terms of the video, shooting of the video and of the release and the language behind how we released it, and like with support, and you know, but we gave a lot of the money that was made has gone to Opening Doors London and other charities, and just
amazing.
We had to get it right, because at the end of the day, it's like I'm a fucking ginger white bloke from fucking Bristol, European. I'm as privileged as I can get, and I'm here making a hit using a dead black trans lady's vocal, and I'm here admittedly I've paid money for this sample and everything, so it's all above board, but it could be construed as or viewed as what the fuck's he doing by certain factions of the community, quite rightly, if they didn't know the backstory. So we had to make sure that we fully told the story and we fully made sure that we did the right thing by the people that mattered. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And like, so there you go. You are a philanthropist. You saw what the thing was. You saw that how it could be perceived, and you made sure you were crediting the sort of source of the industry and the music that we all love so much, which does so often come from queer people and from Black trans people and like from all these communities, and supported a charity that's like helping queer people as well. Yeah. So I think that's amazing.
Dan doesn't just help different people for perception's sake. Like,
no.
Like Dan does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And like, for instance, where like years ago, when I was first coming out actually as a person on the scene, and everyone thinks that house music is like, I did from its origins, was going to be diverse and very queer friendly. And often, to be fair, when I was traveling around the world a lot with Maya Jane Cole's one of our artists that we manage, and we were the only two queer people in a lot of places.
It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy.
But you were particularly like friendly and supportive and cute.
Oh.
No, but you were, because there's a lot of people that I just thought I couldn't talk to you about. And then like, I remember quite a lot of instances back in my slightly heady 20s where...
There's one particular incident I'm thinking of, which is probably not repeatable.
Outside Detroit Hotel.
Yeah.
God, I haven't heard this one. Come on, you have to say it now.
You can tell it, and I can decide if we edit it out afterwards or not. But
okay, I'll tell it quickly. I was outside the MGM Grand in Detroit. It was my first movement, and Brains was outside. I was with Justin Martin, and Brains is normally like super friendly and super like, hey, and I was like, Brains, this is Justin, and Brains was being a bit sheepish, and I wasn't sure why. And then
it was rare.
He disappeared off. And then the next day I saw him, he goes, oh yeah, mate, sorry, I just meeting a guy on Grindr. I was just like, you just met up with him that moment, hadn't you? It was as I was trying to introduce you to Justin, he just then he basically met that one guy one night, and then the next night met another guy on Grindr. He was like, wasn't he like 10 feet below you or something, like in the floor below in the hotel? Yeah. And then the next night, these two guys that Brains had bummed met each other independently and bummed each other, and then the fourth night they're all in old Miami, and Brains, they bump into each other and they all go back and they have a threesome.
Hey, as long as it's all consensual and everyone had a lovely time, I think there's nothing wrong with any of that.
But anyway, so Dan, you do a lot of philanthropy. So actually, do you know what? We should go and tell your origin story as well.
Yeah, you posted recently, Dan, that one of your first breakout EPs was on Cats and Dogs label Pets Recordings. Yeah. How did that sort of come about? And like, did things go stratospheric really quickly for you when that was released, or like what happened?
I mean, Maya was instrumental in my success, I'm not going to lie. And I've picked her up a lot of times and said thank you because of it, and been... apparently I'm one of the only people that's allowed to pick her up. Well, that's what it used to be. I used to big shake, and Brains was like, mate, she fucking hates being picked up. But she was always sound with me picking her up. But we digress. But I did these tunes in like 2010, and I'd given them to a few labels, and no one bit on them because I was a kind of a nobody. And then Court Von Stroke was playing in Bristol in March 2011. January 2011 at Blue Mountain nightclub, and it was him downstairs and Jay Flip upstairs. And I had my CD made with my logo on it and everything. Because back then, even in like 2010, you had like CD. I had like...
Yeah, no USBs even back then.
No, this is before USB. USB wasn't even on a CD player then. It was like still CDs. And I had all the ones printed with my logo on, like proper, like, you know, it looked the business. So it looked like any kind of CD you get from... if you bought a compilation, it was like that kind of quality. And I put all my tunes on there, tried to give it to Barclay Claude Von Stroke, but he was literally in the door, played, and as soon as he finished, he was out the door. And I become successful, I realised what that's like, and you just can't stop. You don't have time to stop and talk to people. But Jay Flip stayed, and I went upstairs and sort of just got talking to Jay Flip, and I gave her the CD, and then she was like, she sent me an email a couple of days later saying these tunes are fucking great. I'm going to send them to, I'm going to give them to Barclay and I'll give them to Wojtek from Cats and Dogs. And I was like, oh, that'd be amazing. I love pets. And then, about a week later, Wojtek emailed me going, hi, I'm Wojtek. These tunes are amazing. I really, really want to sign Entrance Song. And heard that. And I was like, fucking yes. And then about a month later, Claude Von Stroke emailed me saying he wanted to sign another one called The Size. And I had in July and then August, I had my first EP was on Pets. And then August was a track with Worthy called Trick Track on Dirty Bird, and then my first EP in September on Dirty Bird, all in quick succession. It was back then, you kind of like, I feel it's a bit different now, but then it was like you couldn't just put a tune out and become successful. You had to have this like, but I had 3 tunes, bang, that were all like Beatport top 10s, my first 3 tunes. And they all went bang, 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 one after the other. And all of a sudden I went from being like 60 quid a day, and then a year later, I had, my wife gave me an ultimatum saying I had a year basically. She said you can quit your job, but you've got 1 year to do it. And if you don't do it, it has to be a hobby from then on in. It can't be your key focus anymore. You can still make music and DJ in clubs in Bristol, but you can't spend every weekend and every free minute making music. You've got to like let it go. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And it's amazing of her, to be fair. And she worked her ass off. And that was May 2010, and on March 2011, Cats and Dogs signed those tunes, and that was it. Bang.
It sounds like the start of like a good Channel 4 British film, like a Calendar Girls or
Calendar Girls. No, what do you mean? It's kind of like, it almost seems like it's bollocks. Do you know what I mean? It's like they had 2 months to go. Yeah, but it's true. It's absolutely true. That's how it happened. It was like, I'm not sure if I believe in fate and stuff like that. I'm not. I don't think I'm that. I don't think I have that kind of that mindset. I just believe that if you put your all into something and you want it as much as I did for this, then I believe if you really, really give it everything you've got, then you'll succeed. That's that. I don't think it was fate, and I don't think it was destiny. I just think it was basically, I want this so bad that I'm going to make it happen. But then if you believe in fate and destiny, that's totally cool, and maybe it is. But there's not enough in it for me to say that it was fate. It was just fucking, I was there and I was going to every club there was in Bristol that someone was playing that I wanted to be in with or part of. Luckily, because my friends were promoters and stuff, do you know what I mean? And DJs, and were the guys booking these acts, so I could go and I could get backstage, even though I wasn't like I was a local DJ. So, but you know what I mean? I could still get access. So I'm fortunate like that. But again, I made myself that access by being a guy that's been DJing in the city for 19 years up until that point. So it's like,
were you just a local DJ before that point, before those tracks came out? And then you didn't have an agent? And then as soon as you had those 3 Beatport things, was the phone just ringing and the door knocking straight away?
My managers were my friends, Ed and Rag. They became I was like the first person they managed, and we all kind of went up, we went up together. And so as soon as those records were signed, we've been talking about it because my music was getting to a point where it was like, this is actually good and it's different. And I'm not saying I reinvented the wheel. I definitely didn't, but I put my own spin on.
You put like a sexy hubcap on it.
Yeah, that's it. Like lowered it a bit. You spruced up the engine and took it out for a spin. But
when you put those little bread things on the wheel.
Yeah, little neon hubcap and big exhaust on the back. But no, Maya, to be fair, Maya was instrumental in the success of Entrance Song because she played it in her. I was at Glastonbury 2011, and she did an Essential Mix live from Glastonbury, and she played Entrance Song in that set, and it was like
brilliant song, like
all of my Twitter and my thing. Literally the weekend after Glastonbury, because Essential Mix meant a lot more then than it does now. Essential Mix in like up until about 2014, maybe 2015. I'm not going to put a date on it, but I feel like the Essential Mix was a much bigger deal then. It was like fucking hell, you've got an essential mix, or fuck me, my tune was played in an essential mix. You know what I mean? It was
pre-Instagram, it was pre-streaming, it was pre.
This is exactly what I was just. There's so much saturation of content and media on so many different platforms now that like it's. I mean, the kudos is still there, but just like we can't help by being overloaded by so much of it that
it's no less great someone being given an essential mix. It's no less of an achievement. It's just because there's so much other content to be had and heard. I mean, if you put Eats Everything DJ set into because I have my radio show, there's probably 3,000-4,000 DJ sets of mine. Do you know what I mean? From over the 10-year period, it must be something like that. So it's like there's no the secrecy or the sort of mystique of an essential mix and these new tunes, and even the way tunes are delivered now. Like you can't like I've done a remix of a particular record, for example, that I can't even say, I'm not allowed to talk about it, but until the day it comes out, and I can't post about it, and all my friends have heard it, and like, this is fucking wicked. And it's the same with releases. I find like they're not allowed to play them until the day they come out on Spotify. Where's all the excitement of like hearing a tune on the radio for like 2 or 3 months and like fucking you desperate to get your hands on it and you can't because it's not out. And then there's no lead up to a record.
I really agree with this. Like we've just taken radio embargoes off our records for HE.SHE.THEY records for
nice.
With our radio partners, just because it's just like, I love that excitement. I also love that. I love being in a crowd at a thing and being like, what the fuck is this song? I can't wait to listen to it on repeat. And then you can't, and then you're trying to find it. It's a quest. It's a quest for the buzz, to relive that buzz. And
like also just like we put out a lot of marginalized people. And is that like trans DJ that has a tiny following, really, does it make a difference, or is it not good if Radio 1 or KCRW plays it in advance? Right, like I understand when it's like when it's Taylor Swift and no one wants Radio 1 to have it before Spotify or Apple or
absolutely, I get that. You've got your first release or whatever, and it's like one of your dreams is to have Annie Mac play it on the radio, but it can't be played until that week. And then what happens if loads of other tunes come out, and then it was going to be played, and then other stuff like comes, and it's like, oh no, we can no longer play that, and the boat's missed. Whereas if the embargo wasn't there, you could have got played for 2 or 3 weeks before it was released. And you're right, it doesn't. It's a different thing when it's Justin Timberlake or whatever, but when it's like DJ X, Y, and Z on label X, Y, Z, like small independent, I don't think it matters. And I respect the no embargo thing, because I just think it's a bit like you're depriving people. It's for the longevity of the record, but playing a record 3 weeks before it comes out on the radio isn't going to make people listen to it less on Spotify. It's going to make them listen to it more.
Yeah. Because that's the annoying thing is, for those smaller records, they're probably not going to get automatic playlist inclusion.
No.
And then to get algorithmic playlist inclusion, you need to be streaming at least like 1,000, like roughly, was it a day to kind of.
At least 1,000 a day to be considered for like the playlists that are going to really get you decent streams, which is such a shame when we're trying to.
So when you're selling a record to Spotify's and different things, they always want to know what's going on with the record as well. So it's like, if something has got played on the radio, it gives them confidence too. So it's this really weird relationship you need to like negotiate.
Yeah, I have this argument with Becky. Not argument. It's not an argument. Quite the opposite. Me whinging like a twat, saying, "Why isn't it like it was? This is bullshit. Why the fuck can't I play these tunes on my radio show?" And I'm like, "What is the point?" And she's like, "It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is." I get it, but it's also really annoying, and I don't think it helps the record or the smaller artists, to be honest.
Agreed.
I don't know why we got to that from what we were talking about. Yeah, no, what we was talking about was Maya and the power of the essential mix, and like how big a deal that was, because Pete Tong wasn't even playing it. He wasn't even playing Entrance Song on the radio. He'd kind of missed it, and it hadn't come out. It was like a month, 2 months before it came out, and Maya played it, or maybe a month and a half, 6 weeks, and Maya played it on the essential mix. And my Twitter, I gained like 1,000 followers on Twitter over that weekend from just that tune, and I was getting messaged like 10 times a day. They said, when is this song coming out? Can I get it? Never heard of you before, da-da-da, this, that, and the other. And then the week after, Pete Tong started playing it, which goes to show how powerful the Essential Mix was, because Pete's checking it out and going, oh, fuck me, that's a good tune. Do you know what I mean? Where he's missed it. And then a couple of weeks later, I was doing an interview with Pete on the phone. I'm like, fucking hell. I'm like, talking to Pete Tong. I was at Alton Towers at the time. And
that's an amazing backdrop.
I was on the, I just got off Rita, and I did literally.
I love that ride, by the way. It's such an underrated ride, Rita.
Belter.
I mean, Dan, when all that stuff started happening, when you were on the phone with Pete Tong and when all this really kicked off for you, did you have a feeling after DJing and handing out all those CDs and doing that? Did you feel like, fucking cracked it, I've done it? Or did that point come later, like when you were doing massive gigs or different things like that? Was there a point when you feel like, oh, I've got the thing that I've always worked for?
It actually is, and it weirdly, and it isn't just because it's you guys. It was with Maya again. It was we were a bugged out weekender in, I think it's like January. It was January, right? 2012. And I played Bugged Out Weekender, and I played after Maya, before Claude Von Stroke. And I remember playing, and it was fucking rammed. And I remember playing after Maya, and I was just thinking, the crowd's going to, disappear or not. Maya Jane Coles is a big deal. And it didn't know, it stayed the same full. And then there was a couple of different people in the crowd with like my logo on bits of paper and stuff. And I was just like, and it's the first time I'd had anything like that. And it was just like, fuck me, I'm actually I'm popular. It was quite, having DJ'd in clubs at that time, that was 2012. So I've been DJing in nightclubs since 1996. So I've been DJing in clubs for like 18 years. Just to all of a sudden have this and be like, fuck me, people really know who I am. That was the very first moment where I thought, because even when I did the Live Essential Mix in Bristol in November 2011, which is still I think my proudest moment. Even then, it was Calvin Harris, then Pete Tong, then me. And
wow.
Pete did a really good job of taking it from Calvin. This is like Calvin Harris in like peak Rihanna kind of era, and took it from Calvin, the sort of more EDM-y or pre-EDM stuff, to sort of house music. And a lot of the people that I was playing to, even though Motion was packed, I reckon only 20% of the crowd knew who I was, even though it was my hometown. But by the end, I had everyone sort of with me, and you can hear the foray in the crowd get more and more, because it's all either tunes by me or unreleased tunes by friends and stuff like that. So it was like music that these people had never heard before, and it was like kind of new, that kind of style of music that Maya was pushing and I was pushing, and Claude Von Stroke and Justin and people like that. At that time, it was new music. You hadn't heard it in that way. Julio Bashmore as well. It wasn't, as I said earlier, it wasn't reinventing the wheel, but it was certainly different to anything you'd heard before.
But that's how music culture works, though. Different things feed into it, and then a few people like really love a certain kind of sound, and then it starts to roll, and then that's how new genres and new culture, and that's how we all sort of develop and grow. And so being part of one of those moments of feeling that must just be so exciting, because you're like on the cusp of it, and it was just the energy and all the crowds at that time must have been banging. The
energy was amazing. It was like, it's hard to explain really, because you were part of this. It's not a movement, it's nowhere near a movement, but part of this thing that happened at this point in time, and you were one of the, I don't want to say, I'm not likening myself to fucking like Kevin Saunderson and people like that. Do you know what I mean? It's very different, but it's like you were one of the like linchpins of a certain style of music that became popular, went from nothing to insanely popular in a really, really short space of time. And it was
crazy how quick it did go. Just being a manager in that thing, it was like
you were a similar point in life. You'd kind of just start. You and Maya kind of started together, right?
Well, I'd managed people before her, actually, like the more indie bands.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, in dance. Yeah, but in dance music, she was like one of your first.
She's my first big DJ client. Well, I'd have managed Dolly at that point.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you did.
My chronology is terrible to try and remember who I managed.
And when?
At what point? I managed Maya before I managed Tricky. Yeah, over the years we've managed everyone apart from you, Dan.
Yeah, you have. But you said a really nice thing the other day that I basically work with the best in the business in Becky and Sophie. And
yeah, you do. They're amazing.
They are great, aren't they? They're really, I think,
as people and as managers.
Yeah, as people, which is most importantly as people. Do you know what I mean? Like
Sophie and Becky, all of us at different points have been there for one another, just on a friend level. Like, and to be fair, I first met Sophie when she was like doing the door of Matter at Fabric 2 at the time, and Becky I knew as a broadcast assistant. One. Like, that's the thing. It feels like a lot of the good people from that scene all came up together. And I guess everyone helps each other because...
It also sounds to me like everyone in that group that you're mentioning fucking grafted at a lot of sort of... Didn't go straight into like, you know, I'm just a manager straight away, or I just like,
no.
You know, like did lots of different jobs. So therefore knows how to treat all the people around them like really well with respect.
It was like Dan was saying, it's like, there's fear to the point that like that person was in that room at that time. And if you hadn't met
Yeah.
But you do have to graft, and you also have to put yourself in those situations when it can happen. If you just stay at home the whole time, you're not going to meet X or Y person. If you don't send emails or message people on Instagram or do
send your demos, whatever it might be.
Like, I always find that with like labels, that feel like, I'd love to release on X label. It's like, have you sent them something? No. And it's like, the amount of stuff that you get sent anyway, just like when you've got your own label, is massive anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why would I know that you wanted to be on my label to a degree unless you send us something? Unless, like, you know, for instance, we're friends, we've asked you to be on like HE.SHE.THEY and like
which I 100% will be.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you know, there's those kind of relationships, but like, or there's the odd one where we've reached out to someone where we just thought, oh my God, like we'd love them to be like on the label, which I think regardless of you being a mate, we would have asked you to be on anyway.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
But just like, it's already, you're not releasing on that label until you've released on that label. So you already start essentially at a no. So if you ask someone and they say no, the worst that can happen is you stay in exactly the same position. And the best that can happen is that it's a yes and you're on that label. So you have to ask.
You've got nothing to lose by sending your music to a label. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. You can only gain. You might lose a bit of mental impetus if they say no, but you've got, when you're making music or you're an artist, whatever kind of art it is, not everyone's going to like everything you do or make. So,
and you might end up making a contact who gives you some feedback to be able to actually improve and do things. I mean, Stephen and I have built up basically our whole fucking business on, well, we don't have it right now, so should we just fucking ask? Yeah. And like, if they say yes, we'll just graft the fuck out of it and make it the best thing they've ever seen, and then we'll probably get to do it again. And we have literally built our entire like careers and business on this ethos.
You do pretty damn well, I must say.
And we've had baby bands that have asked us and we've said yes. We've had big artists that have asked us and we've said no. So it's like, it just does depend. And like Lady Gaga asked Maya to produce tracks for it, and Maya just wasn't into the songs that she heard. And so it's like, it's not even like, you could be the biggest artist in the world and people still say no to you. So it's not like, oh, I'll wait, because you get to this point where everyone just says yes and wants to work with you. It's like, they don't, like, music's really subjective. I know from you, like, you get offered so much work and a lot of it you turn down, be that gigs, be that remixes, be that, it might even be an artist that you like, but you don't have an idea for that song.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just you don't feel it's the right time to be doing that particular thing. To be fair, I said yes to everything in lockdown because I'm not.
Yeah, Becky said that. That's why you're doing this podcast.
Yeah. No, that's not true, Stephen. That's not true. No, that's a lie. I haven't said yes to everything, but I've been in the studio for how long has lockdown been? 60, 40?
16 months, something like that now.
Studio like the whole time, just making. I must have made 120 tracks. The thing is, I've got stuff to send you, but I'm going to send you a few things and see if you like them. But I don't know whether they're right for you. But
just do. People always get it wrong when they try and guess what we like. Cause
this is it. Like we will sign all different types of things. Basically, if we just catch a groove to it, and we often like the same things. That's it. It's not like, oh, we want to live in this techno world, or oh, we want to do something that's more healthy, or it's got to be a typical this type. Like, nah, just if we like it, we like it. That's it.
That's the way it should be, to be honest.
Because otherwise, it's not fucking fun. It's
like,
the point of us doing the label and all this is like we wanted to be creative in our own rights and sign stuff we wanted to work on and all the rest. And it's like, if it starts being like, oh no, it has to be this tempo, and it has to be this chord structure, and it has to be this. It's like, I just think it's boring.
I fucking listen to Beyonce, so like, send me anything.
Okay. I'll send you a shitload. I've got loads of stuff.
Amazing. Well, how has it been like having all this extra time to work in the studio? Because like you were a super, super hard working touring DJ. Like, has it given you a new perspective on what life was pre-COVID? Like having this time to be creative and looking back on all the traveling you were doing. Like, how do you feel about that? And what do you think you're going to take into the future?
I'm never going to do what I was doing before ever again. I'm never going to play like I was playing. I'm never going to... I always loved the studio. I always loved it. But I found in lockdown that I really, really fucking love it. And I've made like about 3 albums worth of music that's like music with vocalists. And it's just, for me, been a real like wake-up call to, and I mean this in the least arrogant way possible, I'm really quite good at making music, not just fucking...
Dan, that's not arrogant to have some confidence in your ability. Like, that is fucking arrogant. Okay. No, you're such a cunt, brains.
But not just making dance floor bangers, you know what I mean? I've actually made like pretty cool music, and I've got some pretty cool people interested in it, and it's been like, fuck, and without COVID, I would never have done it, and I would have just carried on the gravy train, just like getting hopefully slightly more popular each year and just doing like 120, 150 gigs a year. And just
150 gigs a year, man. Like,
I mean, that's the most I ever did. It was regularly about 120, between 110 and 120. But yeah, I did 150 one
like
year.
150 days away from your family and away from your kids and away from everything else.
What's so difficult about the way our world works and the way our touring diaries work is you're planning about 8 months to a year in front of what you're actually living.
Yeah.
So you're sort of, okay, that looks good. Yeah, I'll do that Ibiza gig. And then, we'll go to Barcelona and then we'll go, and then there's something in the UK. Fine, great. Yeah, box that off. The travel's all right. The money's good. Let's do it. But then when you're actually living it and you haven't had a fucking day off, and actually the travel's good, but the only way that the travel is good is if you only have 2 hours sleep and go straight to the airport. It just becomes a really difficult life to sustain. But you can't get off the merry-go-round.
No, you can't, because if you get off, then someone else could jump on, and then you'll be left by the wayside. But I feel like, I don't know whether this is a feeling or more hope, probably a bit of both, that things have been reset a little, both musically, strategy-wise, should we say, in terms of what a lot of DJs are going to be doing. I kind of get the feeling there's going to be 2 types of thinking. There's going to be people like me who are kind of done with the doing all those gigs, and there's going to be other people that have totally missed being on the road. I'm not saying I'm done with doing gigs, but I only want to be doing 2 gigs a week max, and maybe even 1, and always having a weekend off, because it's like...
But that's what we do for all our artists, because burnout is a thing, and it's like, to be honest, there's no point having money and then not being able to live your life, have balance, and not be happy. Like, because you just end up spending all the money just trying to chase a dream of happiness. Whereas, like,
totally.
I think you and I can understand that quite uniquely, Stephen, because I don't know too many managers, and I'm sure there are some, but like, we travel on the road with our artists like quite a lot. So it's like, we've lived this alongside the artist. So once you do that yourself, it's like, okay, I totally get the perspective now. This isn't like an artist who's, just having a moan, it's really fucking tough out there to live that lifestyle and keep your sense of identity and keep your creativity to keep making things in the studio whenever you do have any time off.
Yeah, do you know what's funny is that I was never unhappy with it. I always really enjoyed it. Occasionally, it'd be like the weekend would come around, you'd be like, oh, fucking hell, I've got to do this flight. Or, do you know what I mean? Occasionally, but generally, I was like super happy with it and I relished it. But now, looking back on it, I'm thinking, what was I doing? Like, how? That is not a healthy way to live, getting fucking bollocks every weekend without fail, only sleeping on planes, and then just getting home on like a Sunday night or a Monday morning, and then just being totally useless until Wednesday. Then you got Thursday where you're sort of up, ready to go. Then you're back off Friday, and it's the same thing. And you just end up. I mean, I got to a point in the last 2 years where I stopped getting hammered, and I'd had like I'd have like 50 days or 2 months off booze completely. But the gigs aren't as fun when you're sober. They're just not.
That was going to be my next question. What do you think's not fun about it? Do you feel like you're not connecting with the crowd because largely they're all wasted? Or is it about how you feel when you're mixing the records?
I think it's basically because you're very, very, I would say I am very, very, unbeknownst to me, I didn't realise how self-conscious I was as a person, because I'm not a self-conscious person, but when you're DJing, when you're sober, you notice that one person not enjoying themselves way more than you do when you're not sober. Like, there can be fucking 2,000 people going for it, and there can be one cunt at the front going, like, giving you wanker signs, or like doing like a yawn, or going, what is this shit, or giving you shit, and you can't help but focus on that. It's crazy, and ask any DJ. Any DJ will say exactly the same. You focus on that one idiot who's giving you shit over and above than 1,999 people that are having a wicked time. But when you're leathered, you don't really care. But when you're sober, for me anyway, it gets into your brain, and it's just like, and I wouldn't take as many risks musically when I'm sober. I just sort of toe the party line and just play like within myself, in terms of I'd always, because I'm a DJ that does a lot when I'm DJing. I do a lot of tricks, and my mixing, so I'm always mixing and stuff. So that would never, my what's the word? The sort of the technical output. I don't know how to say it, but my technical input to the set would never change. But my willingness to take risks musically would go way down when I was sober, and I would just play safer music.
That's so interesting. There's a lot of pressure, I think, on DJs. So we had the explosion of EDM that made like, DJs in our sort of era become like, proper, hugely famous. At the same time, social media. Like, I used to work with Swedish House Mafia, and I was working with them when they sold out Madison Square Garden, like 3 shows in like 11 minutes, and it just went fucking nuts. And I think the same thing has kind of like happened and rolled into the underground, and part of the generation that you were very much part of coming up in. And it must just be so intense having all that crowd staring at you all the time, when actually you're there to curate a party. You're there to create an atmosphere for them to interact with each other and enjoy themselves. But and I'd love to see the scene kind of come a bit more back to sort of that, instead of 2,000 people with their phones up, pointing their phones at you.
This is what my point was, because it's like, I'm hopeful that it will go back to when I first started going to clubs. I started going to raves in like 1993, 1994 to like Dreamscape and Obsession and things like that when I was really quite young. And then I started going to Lakota in Bristol in about 1995, late 95, early 1996. And it was pretty much a gay club. It wasn't a gay club, but on a Saturday anyway, the party called Fandango on a Saturday night was, I mean, it wasn't a gay club, but the crowd was 50, maybe 60% either gay or drag queens everywhere. You had DJs like Trannies with Attitude, John Please Women, who were openly like dressed in full drag DJing, and loads of DJs were gay, and the atmosphere was fucking unrivaled. Like, just people in the most flamboyant clothes, and just from all walks of life, all colours, all creeds, all sexualities. no one said boo to a fucking goose. No one cared. And you get like the fucking, some of my mates from where I'm from, Wootton-under-Edge, who were like, "Oi, mate, fucking hell." In there, like fucking just absolutely didn't give a fuck, like just chatting to anyone and everyone. Like a kiddie like from my hometown, he's a real dullard, stood there chatting to a drag queen for 2 hours, which a year ago in Wootton-under-Edge, if you'd have told him that, he'd be like, "What are you fucking on about? No way, mate." But then before long, you completely accept it. And like for me, that was like, this is fucking amazing. This is the best thing. And you go to after parties and like all these gay clubs and stuff. And then over years and years and years, it's just become more and more and more and more segregated. And I actually felt like in the last couple of years with stuff, people like yourselves, Little Gay Brother, Sink the Pink, I feel like the culture, Homo Electric up in Manchester, I feel like it was starting to become a bit more inclusive. And then obviously COVID came. I mean, you've been around for a while, and it felt to me like it was starting to get back to how it was, but it was nowhere near what it was. But there was a kind of a beginning to what it used to be like. And I kind of hope like now, both musically and, you know, club-wise, that it goes back to that inclusive where everyone just doesn't care. No one's been to a rave for so long that we're just all going to go because it's going to be fucking brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree. And I think, I agree. I think things are starting to change. I think there's still work to do. I mean, you were going to play for our birthday party at Fabric, which got cancelled, which we're going to work on rescheduling that for sure. But one of the reasons I think you'd really love that party is like, because the stage at the back of room 1 at Fabric, which I'm sure you're aware of, we had that closed off for performers and dancers only. So you actually, like, no fucker was ever facing the DJ in room 1 at Fabric. You can't even see the bloody DJ, only a small strip of the person anyway. Yeah. But everyone's facing the performers. So the DJ is playing for the crowd and for the dancers, and everyone's feeding off each other. And like that gives you, like, sober or not sober, I think everyone not looking at you even will give some more freedom to take risks musically and do things like that. Like Dennis Ferrer was playing this techno track when he played for us, and then played Madonna's Holiday over it at 2 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday night at Fabric. And it just went ballistic. And all of the performers cleared a catwalk in the middle, cleared room 1, a catwalk down the middle, and did a whole catwalk down to Dennis at the front of the thing and then back again, just totally off the cuff.
I love that. See, that's fucking... I do a party at Lakota, like I was doing a party once a year where I play all night long. We did it in conjunction with this company. It's called the Digital Switch Off, and you basically have to give your phone in, and they put your phone in... It's like it's kind of like wetsuit material thing that you can't open. You still keep your phone on you, but you can't get to your phone. And that's what we did. We did it in the last few years at Lakota. And the DJ booth in Lakota now in Bristol is on the stage, but it used to be up in the Crow's Nest, which is up like out of the way in the top. If you walk into the room, it's the top right corner of the room. You can't really see it. And I always, whenever I play there, I put the booth back up there, and then I have the stage same as you. But then on the dance floor, there's a stage with loads of drag queens and Little Gay Brother dancers in there. And so everyone's just fucking like that. You look when you look down onto the crowd, everyone's just facing different ways, and not everyone's facing that forwards towards the DJ. And because there's no phones policy, because no one could use their phone. So no one on their phone, and it was fuck. And so many people were like, people were messaging me before the gig going, "Oh, mate, we really want to come, but we're not cool about this no phones thing." It's like, well, don't come then, mate. Like that's
love that. I love that. Like, this isn't a concert. This is a fucking party. There's a difference.
But then people who were people messaged me after going, "We were dubious about the no phones thing. Fuck me. It was so much better." And this is, got your phone on you. It's safe. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere. But you can't physically get to your phone. And it was just fucking. It was great. And having the queens on the stage just makes for an extra element to it. It just reminded me of what it used to be like. And I feel like your party would definitely obviously be like that. And yeah, it felt like it was going that way. And I think it's going to be even more that way. That's my hope anyway.
Me too.
I think there's a genuine appetite for it in a world after populist politics and stuff, after Trump, after Brexit, all these things. I think that there's like, after being away from everyone because of the pandemic and in lockdown, and just the rise of things like these social movements like Stop Asian Hate, Black Lives Matter, Me Too, is that there is a craving for like represented, safer spaces where
Absolutely.
everyone can come together. Because the pandemic has allowed the world to pause and go, oh, it was a bit fucked, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
and it just moved in some of the wrong directions. I mean, like, and regressed in certain places. And it's just, let's take stock of it. A bit like you said, like, am I actually happy? Am I doing things that, because I'm on autopilot, or what's the best way to kind of seek enjoyment? I mean, Sophia and I have done the same with like HE.SHE.THEY as well, of like, what are the things in our careers that we like? What don't we like? And I think that allowed us to get into a deeper dive with activism, because it is so frenetic when everything is up and running that we get like 400, 500 like emails a day. I think the most we've ever had during like once we were doing it, like all the campaigns in the world were kicking off. I remember, I think we got like 800 emails like each month. Like, you can't do any kind of level of like deep diving other than like just physically answering everything. So having that moment to stop and like rebuild stuff and like go, oh, this isn't working, and why, like questioning stuff like, why do we do that? Do we just do that because we do that, or do we do that?
It's so true. But I'm not going to sit here and say that COVID's been a great thing, because it's been quite the opposite. It's obviously, most importantly, lots and lots of people have lost their lives, and families and have lost loved ones, and
100%.
And it's decimated industries, and it's decimated people's, small companies, businesses, whatever. But there is some good to come out of COVID. There is some good personally, and there's some good in the world. It's made people stop and take stock. And what I really fucking hope, and whether it will happen or not, I really hope it does, and I don't want to be a pessimist, is that when it does all get back to normal, people remember how they felt and how they thought during the lockdown period, and they remember what they were thinking they were going to do before it all fucking went back to how it was, where, because people are so busy. You're so fucking busy. Before COVID, it's crazy. Like, you didn't have time to do certain things because you were doing so much. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about friends or whatever. Like, everyone was so insanely busy and unnecessarily busy. There's no need. We're using technology to make our lives easier and quicker, but all that's enabling is to be able to fit more shit into a day to do. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly right.
I hope that people now fucking take stock and remember, like I said, I wasn't going to do that when we got back to normal, because I know full well, and actually I'm lucky because my managers now will not. I've discussed, and I said, just don't tell me how much these gigs are offering. If I say no, whereas before you would be told about the fee, and that would turn your head, because how can you say no to that? I've made a pact mentally with myself that fucking I don't want to do that again. I don't want to be sleeping on planes every weekend. I don't want to do that. I'm not complaining about my job, because I've got one of the best jobs probably the best job on the planet. But it comes with its.
It's hard though. Like,
it is
that's
hard.
the thing that people don't see is like, oh, I can't believe they're getting paid X amount for like an hour and a half. It's like, A, that person is selling tickets for someone else, so actually everyone deserves a drink for it. But B, like, that gig, say if you're going to whatever country, is getting to the airport, is flying there, staying in a hotel for ages. Like, you go do the gig, then you're back into the hotel and do that thing. It's like, it's at least 24 hours. And if you just did one gig, it's kind of 48 hours of your time that's booked off, where you don't go to your mate's birthday, you don't get to see your wife, see your kids, relax, all those things.
Yeah.
So it's like, when people are like, oh, I can't believe you get that for an hour and a half set, I don't think that people see what the impact is and that emotional impact on stuff.
No, the mental health impact, all of it, what we were just talking about, like, because
it's a lot of money, but still,
It is. And you wake up in a hotel bed and you have to check yourself and go, what country am I in?
Okay,
or you're like waking up and you think, I feel like fucking shit.
And you have to play. You have to go and DJ again the next night. You've slept. All you've done is sleep on a plane. For this is one that always got me, is when you finish a gig, you have to go straight to the airport, and then you sleep, and then you're doing an afternoon gig somewhere else. And you get to this gig and you've literally had 45 minutes sleep on a plane, and you were drinking the night before. And the only thing to to rescue you is to fucking neck a shitload of tequila. And then...
Exactly.
And it's just like, that is the only way. Like, that is the only way you're going to get through this and enjoy this and do a good job is by getting hammered. And there are DJs that have, you know, lost their lives because of their excessive drinking, but it's, and you know, and other things like addiction and what have you. And I'm lucky, I'm fortunate, I don't have an addictive personality. I can say, take it or leave it. Don't get me wrong, I love getting on it. I love drinking, I love partying, but I am pretty good at saying no. But in situations like that, it's not possible to not have a pick-me-up. It's just like, you're going to die, you're just not going to perform. And you're
also going out there in front of like up to like a ridiculous amount of thousands of people. Yeah. And that could be their one night out in a month, 2 months. And they're expecting you to deliver them the vibe. And if you're just not feeling it, like that reflects as you were talking about earlier in what you're doing. And so you're almost feeling duty to get on their level, to connect with them, to really move with them on the party, which is why you're saying it takes you 48 hours before you feel human again. I mean, we have the exact same thing. Like if we're running events and stuff, like I've missed weddings. I've missed like babies' christenings and like baby showers or whatever the engagement is. No, I'm away. No, I'm away. No, I'm away. No, I'm working.
Yeah, it's totally fucked so many friendships and relationships and stuff. Like,
yeah,
because a lot of people as well see it as frivolous. Like, oh, but why can't you just say no to the gig? Well, no one would ever go like, oh, why don't you just not go in the office that day?
Yeah.
No one would ever say that. It is a place of work. I was just going to add to that other stuff as well. It's like the amount of time spent going through promos is also massive. Like the amount of prep for stuff. And also, you as a job and DJ weren't making money for years and years and years and years. So like a lot of artists have gotten a crazy debt beforehand, or like so when they are starting to make money, that's like they're making, I mean, when you hit that tipping point, it's good. But even for a lot of people, their gig fees basically paying for their hotel and their flights when they've been an international DJ at first. The money suddenly jumps at one point. But even when you're like playing around in a lot of these clubs, yeah, I think people would be surprised at what point it takes you to go and earn money. Same with like being a manager. It's like the artist first to earn 20 grand, like as one person, the artist needs to be making 100 grand of clear profit.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it's when you see the gig fees, you're like, fuck me, oh great, that's amazing. But when you actually take it into account, you probably as an artist, you probably take 35% of what the gig fee actually is. If you take into account every bit, so the tax, the
agent, the manager, the flight,
the hotel, the stuff you spend in the hotel,
the manager, like like
manager, yeah. There's a 10 grand fee, which is amazing, but then you're only really getting, and don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about getting 3.5 grand for DJing. It's fucking amazing.
This is about enlightening people on what the realities are. It's like just saying it's 10 grand of your fee or anyone's, how that gets taken down. Like maybe it's 15 or 10% is the agent. Then you have whatever the if it's a landed deal, you have the hotels and the fees and the tour manager.
Included, yeah, so you have to pay that.
Then you have whatever's left of that profit, 20% of that goes to the manager because they sit behind the actual costs of these things. Yeah. And then ultimately, you get taxed on it like anyone else.
Get taxed on it, and then yes, I worked it out. Well, I didn't work it out. That's bollocks. My business advisor worked it out. And I think it was 30. An average. You take of what you get paid fee. I take about 37%, I think, of what. So an easy way to work it out, for every 10 grand paid, I make 3,700, which is fucking, don't get me wrong, that's amazing amount.
Is before tax or after tax?
No, that's after tax. So I think it's about 3,000, or maybe it's 3,400. So it's about.
Yeah, I think that sounds kind of more like, because as well, if you've got a social media person and you've got
exactly, and you've got like,
if you've eaten 12 shitty room service margarita pizzas because it's the only fucking safe thing on the menu.
Yeah, and your business advisor costs even to offer you the advice. So if people go in, he's actually earning 3.5 grand for that set rather than 10 grand. It's still like, we're all working class people on this call. It's
totally. This is why I don't say no to the gigs, because it's a travesty to the guy that was digging holes in the ground for £60 a day. It's like, how can you say no to that amount of money? How dare you say no to that amount of money? This
dangerous mindset to be in, because you keep pushing yourself into the limits. And like, you've got good managers now, but like, there's a lot of people who don't have great managers that like and agents who just see you as a sell to make money.
Cash cow, basically.
Exactly. And we'll be, just do the gig. Oh, but I'm really tired and I'm exhausted. Just do the gig. We as managers are because we're both pretty anxious people, don't push our artists to do those crazy gigs. We definitely say no. And we come under pressure from certain agents to make people do the gig, but like, oh, but it's good for their profile, or it's good. Like, there will always be a reason to do everything.
Exactly. That's it. There's always you can come up with 100 reasons to do anything. Doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
If we had artists that kept wanting to go on stage where they had massive problems and they weren't in a place where they could go and they still wanted to go, we'd have to remove ourselves from that situation as well.
I think that's what you have to do. You have to. If I was a manager and I had an artist that was, for whatever reason, not right and was struggling and shouldn't really be doing the job that they're doing, but they want to do it, I'd have to say, like, well, I can't be your manager then. I can't manage you because it's you do everything you can to help, and if that's not possible, then you have to step away. But in my opinion, you'd have to step away from the situation, because you can't be taking you're partly responsible if you're not stopping them from doing what they're doing. And if you can't stop them, then you've got a part. I believe you've got a part company.
Totally, because I think it's really weak when they go, well, if I wasn't doing it, someone else would. It's like, cool, but then let them have that on your conscience. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things where just morals and money and stuff is like Sophia and I would be so much richer, trust me, if we didn't have a moral compass.
Yeah, like, so would I.
Exactly. Like, so would like, when we're not going to name names, but there's a lot of people who just carried on DJing in a pandemic in countries where, all right, it wasn't illegal, but it's because they financially, those countries kind of couldn't afford to go into lockdowns and stuff like
give furloughs and all these kind of things. There just wasn't any government support, anything like that. But there also isn't medical infrastructure to deal with all the people that are going to get sick.
Yeah, and the thing is, because it isn't illegal, it doesn't mean it's immoral.
Yeah,
you know what
I mean? I agree.
But on the same token, I'm also against the nature of, again, I'm not going to name names.
No, anyway, so it's like, it's fine. We don't need to name them. It's like
certain social media sort of campaigns to out and destroy and take down people who are doing this, what are considered immoral acts, and I consider them. I'm not going to judge anyone for doing anything like that, because at the end of the day, people can do what they want. But if I'm judging it on how I would behave, then I wouldn't go and do. I've been offered to do shows in places where COVID is prevalent, and I've said no, because I just don't think it's right for many reasons, but mainly because I feel it's a bit immoral. And raves will be back soon, and I can hang on. Do you know what I mean? It's not, if it means that people's lives are not at risk, or then I'm not going to go there. Do you know what I mean? I'm just not going to do it. So, but I feel like there have been campaigns to out people doing this, which are verging on the witch hunt cancel culture nature of the internet to hound these people. I feel it's all pretty uncool, and I think it harks back to what my hope is, that fucking a bit of unity and a bit of love, just like everyone coming together and just having a nice time, and fucking trying to take people down. And I'm not just talking about dance music, I'm talking about the internet is awash with just people trying to take other people down and cancel people and shit like that, and it just seems a bit like,
yeah, we talk about cancel culture a lot. It's just the idea that, like, on one hand you've got the hashtag be kind, and then on another,
this is fucking it.
Of like, well, let's go for everyone. And it's not saying that, like, people don't do bad things. And I understand the calling out. It's it's the level of vitriol that...
This is it. I understand the calling out 100%. I've got no problem with people being called out at all. It's fine. That is fine, because at the end of the day, if people are doing stuff that is immoral or is unagreeable, but then by all means call them out. But a fucking, like, a dedicated service to making like doing everything you can to take these people down. It just seems it's not very acid house. Do you know what I mean? It's just not acid house. It's just, there's no acid house like culture there. It's like it's the opposite of what dance music should be about. But also, people doing these gigs is the opposite of what dance music should be about.
I mean, what we try to do is, because HE.SHE.THEY platforms a lot of stuff, we try and show the good examples, rather than like dwell too much on the bad examples.
You really do. Yeah, you really make a point of showing the good. There's no point in drawing attention to bad things, in my opinion, in any walk of life. I think create positivity, show good. It's like the news. I don't watch the news or any of that shit because it's a vessel for negativity.
Like sometimes I think, like, for instance, as a queer guy, when I grew up, the only things that ever would report is like, so AIDS is going to kill you.
Yeah,
and everyone hates you, and another gay man got killed today, and another person, and this person got acid attack. That's like, fuck me. Like, I genuinely, up until maybe about my late 20s, if you'd given me a pill that would have made me entirely straight, I probably would have taken it, which is really sad to say.
Now that's
like, but because it's just like when people are like, oh, you choose that, it's like I definitely didn't choose to like be the only queer person in a room, or overhear that person be like, oh, he's gay, by the way, or have it weird that my partner, every time we hold our hand, we have to worry if someone's going to fucking say something or give us a look, or it's hard to check into a hotel, or I've lost family members or friends because of it, or like all these different things. Like, it's not a fucking choice. And it's like, had there been like this is media, all these different things, had there just been a thing of like, oh, and Billy comes out to his mates and everyone's happy. Because to be honest, when I came out,
celebratory aspect to it.
Yeah.
The majority of people were totally fine. And like, it fosters this feeling that everybody hates you. And it's why you get this kind of tribal thing where everybody thinks everyone else hates them. Whereas actually, it's like the extremes of each end of every argument. To be honest, the average person just wants to fucking like get their head down and get through life and just get through the next day.
Have a nice time.
Don't really give a fuck if someone's this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, are they a nice person? Are they not? And that's kind of where it ends. Because everything in life boils down to, are you a nice person? Are you not?
Yeah, moral of the story, just don't be a cunt. That's literally, you apply it to all of it.
That should always be the moral of the story. Don't be a cunt.
Yeah.
I've got that on a t-shirt I wear at Glastonbury.
Yes.
But it is, it's just like...
It's that simple, it really is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have people that are, for instance, like homophobic to me, and I can tell. Sometimes people just don't like me because we just don't get on. And it's not because I'm queer. It's just because we just don't get on because... Like,
you're a nightmare.
Because I'm an... you know what I mean? It's like, it's okay. There's one thing about, like, you know, it doesn't matter how something was intended if the receipt was negative, which I do agree with to a vast majority of things. But also, I am smart enough to know when someone's calling me, for instance, a queer person in a negative way, in a positive way, in a way that they just don't have a better learning of stuff, because the learning, for instance, I live in East London, the awareness of those kind of issues is high. If I went back to my northern town of Sunderland in a council estate, the awareness wouldn't be the same, and it isn't cross-culturally. So this idea that we're all at the same seat of learning.
Absolutely not.
I had to learn. People have to be allowed to make a mistake and grow from it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like somebody gave a shit the other day because we posted a picture of Billie Eilish's Vogue shoot, right? And they were like, I don't understand why you're kind of pushing her because she's just conforming to heteronormative standards of beauty, right? And like, I miss the green hair. And I responded, I was like, well, you know, I've had 20 different hair colours from being a teenager to being an adult. Billie Eilish can't just be the green-haired person because we've all decided that was what she was and what she's about. If she wants to have blonde hair, let her have blonde hair. As long as it's on her terms. It was just weird. It was like you're now trying to police her because you liked what she represented. Tomorrow she might go and have the green hair again. It's weird telling like a 19-year-old that they should stick to the same image of who they were when they were 17. They're like, oh, the record label's doing this. I'm like, the record label probably actually wanted it to stick with the green hair because that's what they know sells records. It was such an interesting way of people being not allowed to grow in all these different modalities or learn or... Anyway, I'm going to go on one of those rants that I'll have to edit out.
No. No, it is.
I mean, at the end of the day, and I'm going to be quite Bristolian and blokish about this, if she wants to do that, fucking let her do it. Because of fuck. Who are you to say, by you, I mean the royal you, who are you to say? You
know me, Dan, and I feel victimised by you. Sorry, carry on, mate, carry on.
Who are you to say that she's being forced into it and that she doesn't want to do it? I thought she looked great. I thought, fucking hell, fair play to her. She looks amazing. And that's all I thought. I just thought, wow, she looks amazing. Fair play to her. I didn't think any more, any less about it. I didn't think about what she used to look like or what she's going to look like. I just thought at that moment, in that point in time, I thought, wow, Billie Eilish looks great. And that's it. And that's all I thought. I didn't even give it more of any, didn't even go into it any more than that. And I don't understand why you should think anything other than that. Like, I
think it's more about the people that are perceiving it rather than the perceived. It's like either, just taking the Billie Eilish example, like, I related to that green hair and it made me feel that you like didn't have to be this certain way to be a pop star. Well, Billie Eilish doesn't have to be that way to be a pop star. She's, as Steve said, chosen to adapt. But when people then relate to something so hard because it affects them internally based on their lived experience, then they don't like it when there's change. But actually, the only thing that's ever guaranteed on this whole fucking planet is that everything is going to change. It's the only guarantee we have.
I used to say that Billie Eilish she's not changing. She's just done one photo shoot for a magazine. She's not now going to walk around looking like a modern day Marilyn Monroe. She's not like changed her entire persona forevermore. She's gone into a magazine, a fashion the most prestigious fashion magazine on the planet, and she's done a photo shoot looking glamorous, and that is
and exploring that different side of herself and doing
when multiple, like I spent half my day in trackies, but then if I go HE.SHE.THEY night, I'll paint my eyes and do my nails and all that stuff.
On show.
But like, because they're all different sides of my personality, and it's weird just saying like that we all have to be like Scooby-Doo characters where we wear exactly the same stuff
every time. Yeah, it's fucking weird, isn't it? It's a strange. It's same with like Instagram and like narcissism now is a totally acceptable. It's actually a vocation now. Like,
it is a vocation.
It's gone from being like fucking hell, what a cunt, to wow, you get money out of that. Like, it's weird. It's fucking weird. Like, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm not guilty of it because I don't. But for engagement on Instagram, fucking weirdly, people want to see my face and want to see pictures of me. They don't. If I post a picture of me at a rave DJing, that won't get anywhere near as much traction as me sat somewhere doing something. I find that wholly. I cannot understand it. It's like what
really soul destroying when an artist, because this happens all the time. Artist does like picture themselves, like you say, like doing something kind of quirky, gets like loads. We'll post a new copy of their single. We'll get like probably 60%
crazy
of the engagement. It's like, but you like me because I'm a musician.
Follow me because of my vocation, not because of my face, but you want to like pictures of my face and not interested in my vocation and what and my art and my outfit.
You have a cute face, though, Dan. You have a cute
face. Little cherub.
But yeah, it's just fucking weird. And it's just like narcissism is now a full-time, people are millionaires out of being full-time narcissists. Like you see some Instagram pages and it's just picture after almost identical picture of themselves, like for fucking roles, and you could scroll for an hour and it would be like looking at the same picture.
That's so weird though.
I struggle with that. I follow accounts that are all animals, so if there is a new 6-legged tree frog or whatever it was you said, I mean, I'm definitely going to be seeing that, so I'll let you know. But I love all the pages like Upworthy and the Happiness Broadcast, which do all talk about these like exciting little community things, and like some dad that's got like a tattoo behind his ear of a hearing aid to match his son, and they're like having this laugh together. Like that's the sort of content that I really like to consume.
I like that.
That's incredible, that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's one called Upworthy, and then there's another one called The Happiness Broadcast. The Happiness Broadcast is good because it's loads of like good environmental news about how much rubbish has been cleaned up and stuff. And
They're right up my street.
I'll send you some links. But
project.
Hang on. Upworthy.
I've done that.
The Happiness Broadcast, I think it is.
Broadcast, okay. Your daily happiness broadcast, is that it?
Yes.
That sounds like it's right. No, that's only 59 followers though. That can't be it.
Oh no, that can't be it. I'll send you a link after.
So people can only listen to once they've exhausted all of our podcasts.
This is on the extra bits.
Because this is pure bliss that you're listening to right now. We've not regretted it at all at any point.
I might start doing ASMR shit in a minute.
ASMR freaks me out.
I don't understand it. I find
How
it
it's
very...
supposed to be relaxing. It's like, it's essentially when someone used to ring you up and just deep breathe down the phone in the 80s.
Yeah, it's like a crank calling, but it's now a relaxation technique.
Like, if you heard someone talking like that on the phone, you'd be like, can you go into somewhere where there's better reception?
Yeah. When you hear when you're on the radio, when you listen to someone talking on the radio, you can hear them chamming. Every word they made, you know what I mean?
Just eat your fucking food, right?
Yeah, but
that's not like, I should tape this and play this so people will fall asleep. Like,
it's fucking opposite of what I want to fall asleep to. Listen to some bloke heavy breathing.
I like these podcasts where we just get to ramble on about everything and nothing.
I like it. It's better than just talking about like the confines of dance music. People have heard people talk about dance music repeatedly. Do you know what I mean? And whilst it's nice to, dip that in, it's also nice to get things off your chest, isn't it?
Well, that's not the sum of all your parts, and I think that's like with this podcast series, what we're doing. It's been people who've identified as like dogs, to people who make dolls for limb difference people, to fashion designers, to activists, to trans people, and having a glimpse into their life and like the difficulties and the joys of their lives. And like, I think that's what we want for HE.SHE.THEY, is just to meet all these different people, but just also to meet them, just not the typical public persona of what everyone's boxed into and what want to talk about. Because that's the problem when people do interviews, half the questions are so generic.
Totally.
You don't really find out about the person. You'd actually find out, when like artists end up being dicks like 10 years down the line, who knew? It's like, if you probably asked them the question,
yeah,
it would have been rooted out like...
Yeah, you'd have known you'd have known straight away that they're a complete asswipe and to not bother.
Yeah, exactly. Like if someone had asked 10 walls about like, so what do you think about like honest and open societies? Well, I think gays should die. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we won't play Elephant or Walk with Elephant forever. Like,
we'll cancel that Heaven booking.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's what we like with this podcast, because we're of that world and we know all these people. It's nice for people to get to know people on that kind of wider, deeper scale. So what have you got coming up post-pandemic?
This album that's going, it's like a project rather than I can't divulge too much because it's not like signed or anything yet. So it's just like I've got that, and then I've got a fair few social distance gigs coming up, which is nice. I mean, I was 2 weeks ago, I wasn't that confident about the whole clubs opening up on the 21st of June thing, but I've maybe not full capacity, maybe 50% capacity or something, that clubs will open. But
I mean, when you saw that Liverpool gig, what was that like?
Oh, well, I got asked to play a bit. It was my son's birthday. I was supposed to be playing before Norman on the Saturday, but
Maria couldn't play it either, but got asked. So we were like, oh.
And it's my son's 7th birthday on the 1st of May, and his last birthday was in lockdown, and and I'm never normally there for his birthday, and he was like so excited.
No,
But-
Oh, bless him. You made the right choice, 100%.
And then I said to Becky, said, "Oh, they did," because it was two dates. It was like the Friday and the Saturday. I was like, I can do the Friday, I can't do the Saturday. And then they came and said, "Look, we really want Dan to do the Saturday." I said, "Well, I said to Youssef, I said, mate, I can't. It's my son." And he's like, "I really respect that." I said, "Can I not do the Friday?" Because it's a slightly different lineup. But then Sven wasn't going to make it. So then Rich called me up anyway and said, "Mate, can you come play?" But then Sven did make it in the end. But I couldn't. I said, "Look, mate, I can't do it. It's my son's birthday." But it was. I don't think I've ever experienced FOMO like it, if I'm honest.
I know.
I was watching it thinking, fucking
Watching that little video, it was the video of Jada G playing Both of Us, and when she just like looked in the air and was just like obviously just so happy at playing that tune, I was like, oh.
That's the thing. It's like there's loads of these records like that. The record me and Norman did together, the ladies track that came out right at the start of lockdown, and I'd never played that in a club. I've never played it in a club, and it's had like nearly 5 million streams.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've never played it in a nightclub, and nor has Norman. I think he played it in Liverpool, but it's never been played in a nightclub. So it's like, well, it has, but not by me. Do you know what I mean? So
What do you think the music, like, so basically everyone's maybe had like a small hiatus of not releasing music and being like, what the fuck is going on in the world right now? But then everyone did just keep the creative output going. So when we come back to gigs, we've got like a year and a bit of all this music that's come out. Plus then everyone's going to release a fuck ton of new music because the clubs are open. Like, do you think that we're just going to hear sets full of brand new music? Do you think everyone's going to jump back to like some classics or play the stuff that came out in lockdown, or is that going to be seen as old now? I've been trying to work this out myself.
Everyone's just going to play Ultranaut is free, right?
Yeah. I said, because what's annoying is about 2 months ago, I messaged Simon Dunmore and I said, "Mate, have you got the a cappella for this?" And he was like, "Yeah, let me get it for you." And he got it from Michael Gray from Full Intention, and he sent it over, and I started making this like elaborate intro with just the a cappella, and I basically made a whole new version of it, but banger, not like so it's just the vocal, and I've made a whole new tune.
Yeah.
And it's going to be my intro for all these gigs. And now both Youssef and Norman have done it. And I'm like, I can't fucking do it now. And I would have, and the thing is, I would have done it. I would have been playing before Norman. And so I would have done it. And then he opened with it, and I was going to open with it. And so, but yeah, obviously now they've got the fucking glory. And now I've got to do something else. I think I'm going to just try Rosala free instead.
Yeah.
Everybody's free!
It's a great track.
Well, Dan, please do Entrance, Set You Free, because
Oh my God,
that is my favourite song of all time.
Right, hang on. I'm getting that written down.
Because you know Kelly Loretta's around to do vocals.
Yeah, she will be, won't she? Entrance. I was trying to think of other tracks with free in that I could get away with, like, making into something.
Because it's got all the fucking thunder and the rain at the beginning. It's like sick.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do like a mashup of but Rosala into Entrance, I reckon.
Oh my God. Can we do a new version of Set Me Free Entrance on HE.SHE.THEY?
Oh my God, don't. I'll lose my mind.
Let's do it.
Not Mario on vocals.
Get Kelly. It has to be Kelly Loretta, though.
Do you know what? I think we're Facebook friends.
Hey, what did we say earlier? If we don't ask the fucking question, we'll never get a yes.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm going to do Entrance. I will do it. I will do it this week.
Oh my God, literally, that makes my life.
I reckon on that week commencing the 21st of June, that Friday, Ultranate Free will be UK number 1.
Yeah, I agree. Freed from Desire.
Free from Desire. I fucking hate that record with the biggest passion. I love to hate it. It makes me feel sad, that record.
It makes you feel sad.
It does. It's because it had a resurgence. It's like, that was never a cool record. How is it now acceptable to play it and watch everyone go mental to a fucking absolute atrocity on the score of human music? It's just like, but you know, each to their own. It's subjective.
I did go through a little hole the other day of like, I listened to Opus 3 Find It, which is
that's okay. No, that's okay.
Olive, You're Not Alone, amazing tune.
Yeah, that's a banger.
First heard that was a belter.
And then secretly, naughtily, Alex Party, Don't Give Me Your Life.
Oh, that's a fucking banger.
Yeah, that's also a banger.
It's because Free From Desire, Alex Party, Free, Olive, You're Not Alone, they all became pop songs, but they were underground or club records. Fucking Free From Desire was straight up, let's make a house record. Let's copy house music and make it into a pop tune. I hate that record so much.
Everyone's entitled to the records they hate, for sure.
Exactly. So
like you see, I think Out Here Brothers is a banger as well. Like,
see, that's
a banger.
I've got a wicked Out Here Brothers tune called.
Enjoy Anthem was one of my favourites.
I mean, Enjoy Anthem is just incredible. Like, Enjoy Anthem is like a genuine, like, bonus.
Enjoy Anthem's amazing.
Anthem.
And JX, There's Nothing I Won't Do. We love that one, Brains.
I like that one. I'm into that.
I love all the JX stuff. Son of a is incredible. And I love Snap as well.
Yeah. I mean, I like a lot of it, but Free From Desire, there's no way. That's just not for me.
Like, I always Mr. C, because I'm like, Ostrom was the first album I ever bought. And he's like, shush, no one's supposed to know I was in the Shaman. I was like, but you can move any mountain. You're amazing. It's like, do you want to hear me do the rap from Ebenezer Good? He's like, no.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
But like, I also feel that's a weird gatekeeping thing in music where, like, say you were making music over there, like in-house, and then feel like, oh, I can't believe you're making techno. I can't believe you're making disco. I can't believe you made a hip-hop tune or a pop tune or whatever. It's like, I find that so weird. Like, I listen to everything from heavy metal to techno. It's like, but also Madonna and Beyonce, like, why, if I'm creative, am I only allowed to make one thing? And if I made pop stuff, why can't I make something underground and it be fine?
Yeah, this is weird. I've never understood music snobbery. It's always something for me that's been like, why can't I be into techno? And why can't I have made house music and then I make techno? Why can't I always make techno and then I make house music? Why would it be seen as me jumping on a bandwagon? And when I say me, I'm not talking about myself. I'm saying the royal we, whatever. But why can't I do this and do that? What's the problem? Why does it matter? Like, if I'm into it and people like it, then what the fuck does it matter? Why should this person A not be accepted because they did something different before? I just find it all a bit like, which again is why it harps back to my hope for what the scene will be like, where I just think the music's going to be a lot more jolly and party oriented without being shit and cheesy. Do you know what I mean? A bit camp. I think music's going to be a bit camper, I hope. Well, from what I've been making anyway. It's fucking camp as fuck. So if I'm the yardstick, then I'm all for it. But it's I just hope that it's going to be just everything's going to be more inclusive. That's my hopes and dreams for the future. The post-COVID rave future will be a lot more inclusive than it has been the last sort of 10 years. I mean, it was worse. It has been worse. Like, you guys have been instrumental in making it a more inclusive place, for sure, 100%.
Thank you. I mean, like, we're learning all the time and how we can do it better and different things that we can do and help with. But I feel I love managing artists, don't get me wrong, and I love all the artists who manage, and I love helping get their work to be heard by as many people as possible around the world. But I feel more fulfilled since we started doing HE.SHE.THEY than I ever really could have imagined this music job being.
That's so cool.
And when you have that feeling in your gut, when it's the same feeling as you had when you're making up those CDs and you're getting ready to get some guest list off your mate to go and just, like, you know, wait for your opportunity to, you know, you got that gut feeling and you just got to follow it. And
totally. I feel like since HE.SHE.THEY happened, that I've definitely had my hole filled more regularly.
Hey, mate, that's all you did it for. That's all you need.
But I literally, I can't wait for your new rave version of Entrance and to hear some demos. And most of all, thank you for your time, Dan, because this has been a fucking laugh. It's been lovely.
Oh, no, it's been
He's a very clever man.
Oh, well, I've had a lovely time, actually, guys. It's been, I mean, we all like talking, don't we? Let's be honest. And it's been a great example of how much fun you can have when just talking to not even faces, just to other voices. It's been great.
Oh, the lovely, lovely man that is Eats Everything. If you're not familiar with his music, please check out the links in the show notes and get your rave on wherever you are. Also, never been quite so aware of the various dimensions of my own laugh until listening back to that. Fabulous. Well, individuality should be celebrated and all that. Stay tuned, gorgeous ones. More episodes on the way for you very soon. And please give us a follow, like, share, or comment and help us grow this He, She, They podcast community.